Let's bring in George Baker, who's a Newfoundland Liberal senator. He's in the foyer of the House of Commons. Senator Baker, you had said that you would speak out against this motion to strip Duffy, Wallen, and Brazeau to suspend them of their pay. What's your reaction to the dramatic testimony by Duffy today?
Well, wasn't that dramatic? And I think Greg is right on in his analysis of it. But look, I think the problem here, the reason why I spoke against the motion was because I believe this will tie the hands of the police in laying charges about the very things that are being adjudicated now in the Senate. In other words, if you have one judicial proceeding which is defined as the Senate in the criminal code, passing judgment, then you can't be charged with the same thing again. I think that this is a plan, and a very effective legal plan, to relieve the Prime Minister's office, those guys in the short pants you were talking about recently, from being cross-examined in a court of law, or the Prime Minister himself. Because you can't, it's double jeopardy, it's autrefois convict that could be argued by the defense if any of these matters ever come before a criminal court.
So, Senator, let me just walk back here so folks understand that. You're alleging here that there's a strategic issue underlying this, that the Senate legal proceedings to suspend the pay of Duffy, Wright, and Brazeau will function as a de facto conviction of them in some way that would stop the RCMP because of the double jeopardy rule. Now, we've actually taken this thesis to some legal experts. Some say
no precedent for it.
Right. They say it's bogus. Some say no. Some say yes. So I grant you we don't know.
No.
But you're suggesting that's one possible consequence here, is the double jeopardy would inoculate them from further RCMP investigation.
That's exactly right, and that's what the case law says. I dealt with the thing. I was the law clerk of a provincial legislature 45 years ago, and we dealt with exactly the same thing. This is a judicial proceeding. But, Evan, you know, what's really concerning about this is that the police were stymied in interviewing the people in the PMO from the very beginning. You remember when they swore their first warrant on the 24th of June, and they asked to seal it until the 7th of July because they needed to interview the people in the PMO, and they didn't want the people in the PMO to know what they knew. Well, you know, it was released publicly the next day. They didn't get their sealing warrant. Now, we're turning around now. They couldn't interview the people in the PMO then without them knowing exactly what they knew. Now we're shutting the door. We could be shutting the door on criminal charges being laid.
Boy, if you thought, okay, so folks, so stay with this. This is another thing. Senator Baker, before I let you go, and I just want your view. Duffy came out and said he met with Wright, Nigel Wright, and the Prime Minister after caucus. He said the Prime Minister ordered him to pay the $90,000. He also now alleges that there was some, quote, conspiracy. He alleges that then government leader in the Senate, Marjorie Le Breton, was essentially prepared to whitewash the Deloitte report about him. What do you make of all that?
I make of it this, that you can't come to a conclusion, a definitive conclusion, until we allow the police to do their job, to cross-examine these people openly in a court of law, and that's what should take place.
Can I ask you a question? Why do we have to keep waiting for the police in that? Why didn't all the senators say, you didn't wait for the police when the senators were handing back buckets full of money? Well, here's a $10,000, here's another. No one waited for the cops then. There was, you know, the money, everyone's like, that's a great idea. Why not wait for the cops then, but why wait now?
Yeah, well, Evan, that motion was put by the government House leader. There are amendments to that motion. As you know, the senators in the past 2 years, have voted against motions unanimously passed by the House of Commons and unanimously approved by the Government of Canada. So you might be surprised. Stay tuned to see exactly what happens to this motion.
All right. Senator Baker, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Anytime, Evan.